The night sky above Valora Prime shimmered with strange light. To the untrained eye, it was just another aurora passing through the upper atmosphere. But to the Galactic Alliance Command, it was something else entirely, a desperate distress signal. Echoing from the farthest edge of known space, inside the Alliance station orbiting the planet. Admiral Kether leaned over the holomap, his scaled hands trembling slightly. The signal repeated every 20 seconds. Sharp, rhythmic, coded. It wasn't random static. Someone was calling for help. Origin point? Kether barked. A nervous communications officer replied, "Uncharted sector, sir. Coordinates 09 Delta 4. There's nothing registered there. Empty space." Kether frowned. No system is ever truly empty. Boost the signal. Let's hear it. Static filled the command deck. Then came a deep, broken voice, mechanical, filtered, but unmistakably alive. "This is Asterisk EO Station. Under attack. Unknown enemy. Requesting assistance. Anyone, please respond." The room fell silent. The officer's tendrils twitched. "Sir, that's an old sector. Abandoned for over a century." Kether narrowed his eyes. "Reopen it. Whoever is there needs help," no one argued. The code of the Alliance was clear. All sentient life deserves rescue. The forgotten sector, hours later. A fleet of Alliance rescue cruisers cut through the void, their silver hulls gleaming under the starlight. The lead ship, the Valiant Spear, carried Captain Renavel, a veteran of border wars. He was calm, methodical, cautious, until now. The distress signal was pulling at something deep within him, a sense of dread. His first officer, a pale insectoid named Thera, adjusted her scanners. "No life signs, Captain, but the signal keeps broadcasting. It's automated now. Keep us steady," Rin said. "Let's not walk into another pirate trap." But then Thera's eyes widened. "Captain." The message changed. Everyone looked at the display as the audio crackled again. "Assistance. Protocol Earth. Emergency code 917. Death World Command." The bridge went silent. Every officer froze. Rin whispered, "Did it just say Earth?" Thera nodded slowly, her wings trembling. "Yes, Captain. But that can't be. Earth was classified as a death world. No contact permitted." Rin felt a chill crawl down his spine. Who triggered that code? The forbidden name crossed the galaxy. The word Earth carried weight. It was spoken only in cautionary tales, a planet so hostile that its native species. Humans had adapted into perfect survivors. Their world was said to forge monsters in flesh, creatures of endurance, cunning, and fire. Thousands of years ago, the Galactic Alliance had isolated their system, labeling it too dangerous, too unpredictable. Contact was forbidden. But now, someone had called them. Rin's second officer muttered, "Should we respond to it, Captain? If we forward this code, the central AI will automatically relay it through the old relay network." Rin hesitated. "And that might reach Earth." No one spoke. Finally, Thera said softly, "If someone is still alive there, Captain, do we really have a choice?" Rin stared into the blackness of space. Forward the signal, the awakening far beyond the Alliance borders, deep within a forgotten region of stars, ancient satellites flickered to life. Their systems had been dormant for centuries, buried under dust and silence. But as the coded distress signal arrived, one by one, they began to glow in the void near a red dwarf star. A massive metallic structure rotated, a forgotten relay hub marked with faded letters. United Earth Command Outpost 7, its main computer flickered, running ancient protocols. Data streamed through corrupted lines, restoring files, reactivating long-dead connections. Alert incoming galactic code, 917, source unknown authorization distress, universal priority. Action awakening sequence, death world response, protocol somewhere. Deep beneath the station, a buried AI opened its eyes. Its voice was cold, human, and focused. Signal received. Distress detected. Identifying target world. The AI paused. Alliance origin confirmed. Authorization accepted. Deploying Deathworld response fleet. In orbit, engines roared to life. Giant ships, black, angular, silent, began to move. The galaxy holds its breath back aboard the valiant Spear. Captain Rin watched as their navigation systems flickered violently. Unknown signatures appeared on the long-range scanners, dozens of them, moving fast, forming a formation pattern unseen in millennia. Thera gasped. Captain, these readings, they're not Alliance, and they're heading this way. Identify, Rin ordered. The computer struggled to keep up, displaying lines of old, corrupted code. Then it found a match. Fleet designation, Terran, Response Group 01 origin, Earth system status, active. Rin's heart pounded. Oh no, what have we done? The first contact, the first of the human warships, emerged from hyperspace, like shadows cutting across the stars, enormous vessels plated with dark armor, burning blue fire. Their hulls bore the ancient insignia of Earth, a silver eagle, wrapped around a burning world. Automated transmission followed. This is the Terran response fleet. Distress signal received. Identify the requesting species. The voice was calm, commanding, and unmistakably human. Rin hesitated to respond. His mouth went dry. The crew looked at him, terrified. Sir, what do we tell them? Thera whispered. RYN swallowed hard. Tell them the truth, and pray they don't take it the wrong way. The space around Sector 09 Delta 4 was silent, again to silent. Captain Renovel stood at the center of his bridge, eyes fixed on the scanner. The strange fleet that appeared moments ago hadn't spoken again. They just waited, watching. Their ships were massive black iron giants shaped for war, not beauty. No glowing colors, no graceful designs like the Alliance fleets. These ships were built for one purpose, to fight and survive. Still no response? Rin asked quietly. His officer, Thera, shook her head. They received our message, Captain. But they're analyzing us. Every system, every signal, every heartbeat on this ship. Rin felt the weight in her voice. He looked at the central view screen again. One of the human ships had moved closer, its shadow swallowing the valiant Spear. Contact, then a voice came through the comscom. Deep and perfectly controlled. Alliance vessel. Identify your command and purpose in restricted space. Everyone froze. Rin replied carefully. This is Captain Rin Uvel of the Galactic Alliance Rescue Division. We received a distress signal from this sector. We meant no intrusion. Silence followed. The only sound was the faint hum of engines. Then the voice returned. Sharper now. Distress signal confirmed. Source originated from Alliance network. Your signal triggered Earth Defense Protocol. Explain this. Or prepare for investigation. Thera's wings fluttered nervously. Captain, they think we did it on purpose. Rin's throat felt dry. Tell them it was an accident. A misroute in the signal relay. She hesitated, then transmitted his message. The mistake for long seconds, nothing happened. The crew waited each second, heavier than the last. Then, one by one, the human ships began to move. Their engines flared, lighting the void in blue fire. Captain Thera said quietly, They're spreading out, forming a perimeter around us. Rin's heart sank. They're surrounding us. Another transmission came through, no video feed. Only the human voice again. Alliance vessel. It violated Deathworld isolation protocol. Stand by for boarding inspection. Thera gasped. Boarding? But Captain, that's against every treaty. Rin clenched his jaw. Humans don't care about our treaties. They wrote their own rules long ago. Arrival moments later, a blinding light flooded the bridge as a smaller craft detached from one of the Terran ships. It moved fast and docked, directly with the valiant Spear. Security teams rushed to the airlock. The doors opened with a hiss. Releasing a wave of cold air, 3 figures stepped through. They were humanoid, taller than most species, wearing black armored suits covered with faint silver markings. Their helmets reflected the dim light of the corridor. Each carried a weapon that looked simple but radiated power. The lead figure spoke through a voice amplifier. "We are the Terran Response Unit. We're here to verify the distress source." Rin approached slowly, forcing calm into his voice. "I am Captain Rinovel. We had no intention to contact Earth. It was a signal from an old outpost. A relic." The Terran leader tilted his head. "A relic that woke the sleeping defense grid of Earth Command." Curious. He turned slightly, scanning the ship's walls with a small device. "Your technology. Fragile, too polished. You rely on safety," Thera whispered under her breath. "They're analyzing us like insects." Rin gave her a warning glance. The warning the Terran officer finally turned back toward Rin. "You may not understand what you have done. This signal doesn't just wake ships. It wakes the memory of war. The Alliance once tried to reach Earth. They called us monsters. They tried to contain us." His voice grew colder. Containment failed. Rin swallowed. "We only meant to help," the human interrupted. "Help? You sent a call that reactivated weapons dormant for centuries. Entire fleets are now awakening across human space. The galaxy will feel the echo soon." He stepped closer, faceplate reflecting Rin's fearful eyes. "Pray your people can explain before they panic. Because when humans prepare for war, nothing in this galaxy remains untouched." "The galaxy reacts back on Valora Prime?" Admiral Kether received the report. His scales paled as he read the transmission logs. "Did you say?" "The Terrans are active again." He asked. The communications officer nodded, voice shaking. "Their entire defense network is waking, sir. Unknown signals spreading through old war sectors. Thousands of drones and fleets coming online." Kether's eyes widened. "But the humans haven't left their system for ages." "Not anymore, sir," the officer said softly. "They're moving." Inside the Terran fleet aboard the lead Terran flagship, Commander Arya Voss watched her displays flicker to life. She was one of the few remaining guardians of the old Deathworld Commander relic herself. Once cryogenically preserved after the Earth's wars, now she stood again under the banner of the Terran Response Corps. Her armor shining like black steel. "Fleet status?" she asked. 70 ships active. More joining every minute." "Automated defense drones ready for deployment," replied the AI voice. Arya stared into the void, remembering the last galactic war. The fear, the silence, the surrender. "Whoever called us," she said quietly, "does not understand what they've unleashed." The AI responded in a calm tone. "Do we proceed with contact, Commander?" Arya's eyes narrowed. "No, not yet. Let them fear what's coming." The shadow over the Stars Captain Rin's ship was finally released, shaken and silent. The Terrans had left without firing a single shot. But their presence was a warning louder than any weapon. Thera looked out the viewport, voice trembling. "Captain, what happens now?" Rin's eyes stayed fixed on the distant black shapes fading into hyperspace. "They've awakened something ancient," he said slowly, "and the galaxy won't sleep again." As the Valiant Spear turned for home, hundreds of new signals appeared across the star map. Human ships sold, powerful, unstoppably merging from forgotten corners of space. The Deathworlders had returned, and this time, they weren't answering a call for help. The stars looked calm, but the galaxy was no longer at peace. The Terran fleet had awakened, a storm of black steel and silent engines moving through forgotten routes of space. Every transmission, every sensor ping, every whisper across the network spoke one truth. The Deathworlders had returned. Panic in the Council on Valora Prime. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Dozens of alien races shouted across the hall, each voice full of fear, anger, and confusion. They were supposed to be extinct, screamed one delegate. They were isolated. Another yelled, how could a single distress signal awaken an entire war fleet? At the center of the chamber stood Admiral Kether, his scales glistening under the bright lights. He raised his hand. Enough. Silence. The noise faded slowly. Kether turned toward the central holodisplay. showing dozens of red icons moving across the galaxy map. These ships belong to Earth Command. Every one of them is armed, coordinated, and alive. A representative from the average species hissed nervously, "We need to attack them before they attack us." Kether's voice was cold. "Attack? Do you even know what you're suggesting? The last time the Alliance fought them, 10 worlds burned. 10. A silence heavier than gravity filled the room. The human signal, meanwhile. Deep in space, the Terran fleet moved through a nebula, engines dim, hulls reflecting no light. Inside the flagship TSS Revenant, Commander Arya Voss stood in front of a massive holographic table. Each red dot represented an activated Terran ship, and the number was growing every hour. Her second officer, Lieutenant Grant, approached. "Commander, we're receiving more data from the old defense network. Thousands of dormant satellites are coming online. Earth's shadow network is alive again." Arya nodded. "And the Alliance knows nothing about what's buried under that network." Grant hesitated. "Should we make contact, Commander? Tell them our return is not an act of war." Arya looked at him sharply. "Not yet." They wouldn't listen. Fear speaks louder than words. She turned to the AI system glowing beside her. "Status of the planetary defense reserves." The AI replied, 73% operational. "Full rearmament in 40 hours. Arya stared into the swirling mist of the nebula. "They called us monsters once," she said softly. "Now, they'll remember why." The chase begins back aboard the Valiant Spear. Captain Renovel couldn't sleep. His ship drifted through Alliance space, carrying the weight of a mistake that could doom them all. Thera approached quietly. "Captain Command has ordered us to return to Valora Prime for questioning." Rin sighed. "They think I triggered this on purpose." Thera shook her head. "You didn't, you just pressed the wrong button." He gave a weak laugh. A wrong button that woke an entire species. Then the ship's alarm rang. "Unknown contacts incoming," shouted the sensor officer. Rin ran to the display. Dozens of blips appeared, fast, tight formation, approaching from behind. "Humans," Thera whispered. "No," Rin said grimly. "Too small, too messy." New voice interrupted over the comms, cold and mechanical. "This is the Pirate Coalition. Alliance ship, power down. You're carrying data we want." Rin's eyes widened. They intercepted the distress signal logs. Thera gasped. "If they sell that to the black markets, the entire galaxy will know where the humans are," Rin finished. "And then nobody can stop the war. Prepare evasive maneuvers." He shouted, "We're not letting them near those files." First blood, the Valiant Spear spun through the void as pirate ships opened fire. Blue energy bolts struck the shields, lighting up the hull. Rin's crew fought back with everything they had, but they were outnumbered 5-1. "Shields failing," yelled Thera. Rin clenched his fists. "Keep firing." Then, without warning, a new shape appeared in the darkness. A massive Terran warship. It moved like a predator, silent and unstoppable. The pirate ships turned toward it, confused. "Identify that vessel," one of the pirates shouted through open channels. The Terran ship responded with action, not words. Its main cannon fired once, a beam of light that split the lead pirate cruiser in half. In seconds, the entire pirate fleet was gone. Rin's crew watched in stunned silence. Thera whispered, "They saved us?" A transmission followed, short, emotionless, human. "Alliance vessel. This engagement is concluded. Do not transmit this encounter. Return to your base. Forget what you saw." Rin stepped forward. "This is Captain Renovel. You saved us." "Why?" No answer came. The Terran ship vanished into hyperspace like a shadow fading from the stars. The fear spreads back at the Galactic Council. Reports flooded in. Terran ships had appeared in at least 9 sectors, destroying pirate fleets, disabling slavers, erasing warlords. No communication. No demands. Just silent action. The council was divided. Some said the humans were protecting the galaxy. Others believed they were preparing it for conquest. Admiral Kether sat quietly, staring at the new reports. "They move with purpose," he muttered. "They strike where corruption grows." "It's like they're cleaning the galaxy," Counselor sneered. "Cleaning? You mean controlling?" But Kether didn't reply. Because deep inside, he wasn't sure who was right, the message far across the stars. In the dark command deck of the TSS Revenant, Arya Voss watched her communications officer approach. "Commander, we intercepted an open broadcast from the Alliance. They're calling an emergency summit to discuss our reappearance." Arya smiled faintly. "Good. Let them talk. Should we respond?" The officer asked. Arya looked out into the endless night. "No," she said, "but send them a message anyway." She typed a short code into the console. A single transmission pulsed across the stars, received by every major Alliance relay. "Transmission begins. We were summoned. We remember. We are awake." Transmission ends. The galaxy trembles. The message spread like fire through every world, every ship, every corner of the galaxy. Children whispered it. Soldiers repeated it. Commanders lost sleep over it. The Deathworlders had spoken, and their silence afterward was louder than war. In the void, hundreds of Terran warships assembled near a dying sun, forming ranks, preparing for something larger than anyone could imagine. The galaxy had woken something ancient, something patient, something that never forgot. The galaxy was no longer calm. Since the return of the Deathworlders, every world watched the stars with fear. Trade routes had gone silent. Fleets stayed docked. Even pirates hid. The Galactic Council met again on Valora Prime, but this time the Great Chamber was dark and quiet. No one shouted. No one argued. Everyone waited, because today, the humans had agreed to speak. The transmission at the center of the chamber. A blue hologram flickered to life. Not a person, but a symbol. A burning planet surrounded by 12 stars. The emblem of Earth's command. A voice spoke through the static. It was calm, deep, human. "We are the Terran Response Fleet. You sent a distress signal?" We answered. Every delegate leaned forward. The voice continued. "Your message reactivated protocols older than your civilization. Those protocols were built on one rule: humanity responds to distress. We came not as conquerors, but as guardians." The chamber filled with whispers. Guardians? No one expected that word. But then the voice grew colder. "Yet we see what the galaxy has become: slavers, raiders, corruption, cruelty. You call this peace. We call it decay." Long pause. "So hear this. The Terran ultimatum." The Terran ultimatum, the voice hardened like steel. "Within 72 standard hours, every member world of the Galactic Alliance must do 3 things." Every eye turned toward the hologram. "First, end all slave trades and forced labor systems. Second, disarm all planetary weapons targeting neutral space. Third, release all prisoners of war taken in border conflicts within the last decade." Murmurs filled the chamber. Shock, anger, fear, failure to comply. The voice continued. "Will result in direct intervention by Terran fleets. No negotiation. No warning. You summoned us. Now you face the cost of our return." Then the hologram faded. Silence. Only the sound of breathing filled the vast hall. The debate, arrogant primitives, shouted a counselor from the Kliss Dominion. "They dare to threaten the entire galaxy?" Another council member, Admiral Kether, spoke calmly. "You call them primitives? You forget they survived the Death World. You forget they won every war they fought. They'll destroy us all." Someone yelled. Kether's tail flicked. "Not if we listen." "But their demands are impossible," cried the Avrix delegate. 72 hours? They mean to humiliate us." Kether turned toward him, eyes narrow. "They don't care about pride. They care about justice. Their kind of justice." He looked at the screen again, replaying the human symbol. "And if we don't act fast, they'll bring their version of it. To every world, the Terran Council, far from Valora Prime, deep within the Revenant, Commander Arya Voss stood with her officers around the command table. Response from the Alliance? Asked Lieutenant Grant. Arya shook her head. Predictable silence. They're arguing. Grant frowned. And if they refuse? Arya's eyes were cold. Then we show them why humans never bluff. The AI spoke, its tone neutral. Fleet readiness, 96%. Orbital drop forces, stand by. Planetary deterrent systems, armed. Arya exhaled slowly. I hate this part, she said quietly. The waiting. The pretending we're still human enough to hesitate. A message from the past suddenly. An alert blinked on the console. Commander, said the communications officer. We've received a data stream, ancient encryption, originating from Earth itself. Arya's eyes widened. From Earth? They played the message. It was a voice, old, cracked, human. To any who awaken the Terran Defense Network, remember this. We built it not for conquest, but for protection. When others fall to corruption, we rise. When the innocent cry, we answer, but never forget. If the galaxy repeats its sins, humanity will correct them. The recording ended. For a moment, no one spoke, Arya whispered. So that's what we are now. The galaxy's correction. Countdown back in the council chamber. A massive timer counted down on the central screen. 72 hours. Every hour that passed, tension grew. Some worlds obeyed. Some destroyed their slave colonies. Some silenced their weapons. But others refused. One of them was the Clis Dominion, the same race that had once enslaved hundreds of smaller species. Their ruler, Overlord Zareth, broadcast a message across the stars. We will not bow to Deathworld threats. Let them come. The first strike can come, they did. When the timer reached 0, the sky above the Clis capital turned black. 1,000 Terran ships appeared from hyperspace, silent, perfectly aligned. The Clis Defense Network opened fire. The humans didn't shoot back, they simply transmitted one message. Your weapons are locked. You have 1 minute to surrender. The Clis ignored it. Then, without a single visible beam, every weapon on the planet went dead. Engines, shields, power grids, all silent. Terran ships released a wave of drones. They moved like silver ghosts through the city, disabling defenses, freeing captives, taking no lives. When it was over, the humans transmitted again. The first lesson is mercy. Don't make us teach the second. Then they vanished. The galaxy reacts news, spread faster than light. The humans had crippled an empire in 1 hour without killing a single person, for the first time in centuries. The galaxy began to change. Slave systems collapsed. Borders opened. Worlds that had ruled through fear suddenly remembered humility. But deep in the dark, not everyone was pleased. Some old powers whispered to each other, plotting revenge, planning secret weapons. And at the edge of known space, something else watched, something older than the humans. Something waiting. The final line aboard the Revenant, Arya watched reports from across the galaxy. Grant turned to her. They're starting to listen, Commander. Maybe this time, we can build peace. Arya didn't smile. Peace? Maybe, but peace built on fear never lasts. She looked out at the endless stars. The galaxy called the Deathworlders once more, she said softly, and they will learn we don't answer calls for help twice. The galaxy had gone silent again, but this time, it was not peace. It was fear. The Terrans had forced empires to surrender without firing a single missile. They had freed the enslaved, crushed the corrupt, and vanished back into the void. To the common people, they were heroes. To the rulers, they were a warning. But far beyond the borders of the Galactic Alliance, past dead stars and frozen worlds, something else was watching. Something ancient. Something that even the Deathworlders once chose never to face. Echoes in the void on the edge of known space. A science vessel called the Stellar Seeker drifted quietly. Its crew of 6 researchers was studying an old wormhole, a relic of pre-human civilization. Captain, said the sensor officer, we're detecting a pulse. Captain Levendor frowned. From the wormhole? The officer nodded. It's rhythmic, like a heartbeat, Levin stared at the holographic display. The wormhole wasn't supposed to move. It was dead. Yet now, faint energy ripples flowed through it, like breath after a long sleep. "Record everything," Levin said. An alert command. But before anyone could respond, the lights flickered. Then came a sound, a deep, echoing thrum that vibrated through every metal surface of the ship. "Captain," whispered one of the scientists, "something's looking at us." The forgotten fear back aboard the Terran flagship Revenant, Commander Arya Voss stood in the strategy room. A transmission had just arrived, scrambled, panicked, and cut short. "Source," she demanded. Lieutenant Grant checked the console. "Sector 19, a research ship." They reported an active wormhole. Then silence. Arya frowned. "Show me the coordinates." When the sector appeared on the map, her expression darkened. "Commander," Grant asked, "you recognize it?" Arya nodded slowly. "Yes, that's where the Drangel vanished." The bridge went silent. The Drangel were not a myth. They were an ancient enemy. A civilization that had fought humanity long ago and disappeared without trace. Some said the Deathworlders destroyed them. Others believed they escaped beyond the rim. Arya whispered, "If that wormhole opened again, they might be coming back." The council divided. The Galactic Council met once more on Valora Prime. For the first time in months, they weren't arguing about the humans, but about something worse. Admiral Kether stood at the front, pointing to the new readings. "This energy pattern is older than any known technology. It's not Terran. It's not ours," Nervous Counselor asked. "Could it be?" "Natural." Kether's voice was grim. "No, nature doesn't send messages," played the intercepted signal, a faint sound that repeated every few seconds. Not words, but rhythm. Thrum, thrum, thrum. Another delegate whispered, "It sounds like a heartbeat." Kether nodded. "And the humans already know." The call to the Deathworlders in deep space, the Revenant and 6 other Terran ships gathered near the wormhole. The massive black swirl pulsed faintly, each beat shaking the sensors. "Commander," said the AI, "we are detecting dimensional stress. Something is trying to break through." Arya stared at the wormhole, her voice low. "Ready all defense platforms. Deploy drone network Alpha." Grant hesitated. "Should we inform the Alliance?" Arya shook her head. "No, they'll panic. We'll handle this." He frowned. "Commander, what if it's bigger than us?" She looked at him sharply. "Then we make it smaller." The awakening, the wormhole flared, bright white light bursting across the void. Alarms screamed as shockwaves hit the Terran fleet. Shields at 70%. "The field is expanding," shouted an officer. Through the light, something emerged. Huge, dark, alive. It wasn't a ship. It was a living construct. It's made of metal and bone, stretching miles wide. Its surface glowed with unknown runes, and its many eyes burned red. Grant whispered, "That's not possible." Arya's eyes narrowed. "Drangel," the AI confirmed. "Energy signatures match pre-extinction data from the old wars." The creature spoke, not in sound, but directly into their minds. "You still breathe. Little Deathworlders, we waited. For your light to dim, and now we return. To extinguish it." First Class Area didn't hesitate. All ships fire at will. Beams of blue energy sliced through the void, striking the creature's hull, but it barely flinched. It roared, releasing a wave of pure energy that shattered the front line of Terran drones, shields dropping fast. "Reinforce. Deploy kinetic batteries," Arya ordered. The Revenant fired its main cannon, a single shot of condensed plasma. The creature reeled backward, one of its limbs torn apart. For the first time in millennia, the Drangel bled, but it didn't retreat. It laughed, a deep, echoing sound that froze every Terran heart. "You still fight like beasts of your cursed world. But your fire will not save you this time." The hidden truth. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chamber, Cather received the live feed from the Terran fleet. He watched the impossible battle unfold. He whispered, "By the stars. They're protecting us again." But then the transmission cut to black, and a final coded message appeared. To all Alliance commands, the Rim has awakened. Do not interfere. This is not your war, Commander Arya Voss Terran Fleet. The Council fell silent. Someone whispered, if it's not our war, whose is it? Kether looked toward the stars. Theirs, he said softly, and maybe the last one we'll ever see. The fear returns back at the wormhole. The Dranchel retreated into the light, not defeated but watching. The wormhole pulsed once more as if it were breathing. Arya stood on the deck, staring into it. Grant spoke quietly, Commander. They'll come back, won't they? She nodded slowly. Yes, and when they do, the galaxy will finally understand why humanity was kept apart. The AI asked, shall I mark the sector as restricted? Arya replied, her voice cold. No. Mark it what it truly is, the edge of everything.
Oh.
But its pulse never stopped. The wormhole had gone silent again. For 3 days, there were no energy surges, no transmissions, just empty space. But every Terran in the fleet knew what that silence meant. It wasn't peace. It was preparation. Commander Arya Voss stood before the observation window of the Revenant. Her eyes locked on the faint shimmer where the wormhole pulsed in the distance. She hadn't slept in 2 days. She didn't need rest. Not yet. Status. She asked quietly. Lieutenant Grant replied, drone grid holding. Energy levels stable. But, Commander, our long-range sensors just caught something. Arya turned. Show me. On the holographic map, dozens of small signals appeared beyond the wormhole, faint but organized. A fleet. Grant's voice was tight. They're building something. On the other side, Arya frowned. Then it's not just one creature this time. The awakening of old fears in Valora Prime, panic had started spreading across the Galactic Council. Rumors of the Dranchel return were already filling the communication channels. Leaders demanded protection. Traders refused to travel. And everyone asked the same question, where are the humans now? Admiral Kether slammed his hands on the council table. The Terrans told us to stay out of it. But if that wormhole opens again, the entire Rim will fall. A quiet voice answered from the shadows. They knew this day would come. Kether turned. It was Ambassador Reen, one of the few who had direct contact with humans. Reen continued. The Deathworlders have records of the Drand. They fought them once before, long before we joined the stars.
Don't.
And Kether asked. Reen looked grim. And they swore to destroy every trace of them, even if it meant burning worlds. The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. If the drawn gel were returning, the Deathworlders would not hold back. Back in the void in the Revenant, alarms flared again. The wormhole was opening. Brace for impact, shouted Grant. Light exploded outward, filling the viewport. Out of the blinding storm, dozens, no, hundreds of massive shapes began to emerge. Dark, organic ships, pulsing with crimson light. There, alive, whispered a young officer. Arya clenched her jaw. All units prepare to engage. The Dranchel fleet spread like a disease through the stars, each ship moving with eerie coordination. Then, a transmission cut through every frequency, a deep voice, both ancient and calm. You should have stayed silent, Deathworlders. The galaxy was ours before your kind learned fire, and now we reclaim what we lost. The first blast, the first strike came fast. Beams of pure energy ripped through space, tearing Terran drones apart like paper. Arya didn't blink. Returned fire. Hit them hard. The Revenant's main cannon roared, slicing one of the Dranchel ships clean in half. But for every enemy that fell, 2 more appeared, Commander. Grant shouted. We're outnumbered 10-1. I know, Arya said coldly. That's why we're not staying. The crew looked confused. Prepare Omega Protocol, she ordered. The AI hesitated. Commander, that weapon has not been tested in. Do it. Omega Protocol D, inside the Revenant. Hidden beneath layers of sealed bulkheads. A reactor began to hum ancient technology from the earliest days of Terran expansion. It wasn't a bomb. It was a memory, a weapon made from the same nightmare energy that once destroyed the Dranshell homeworld. The AI's voice lowered. Activating the dark memory device, Grant whispered. You mean they kept it all this time? Arya nodded. Humanity remembers everything, especially their monsters. The lights dimmed as the reactor charged. Outside, the Dranshell ships surrounded the Terran fleet, their weapons glowing like suns. Surrender, the Dranshell voice thundered, and we will let your worlds burn slowly. Arya smiled just slightly. You really don't remember us, do you? When the dark remembers, the Revenant's core flared white. Then the darkness came, a wave of black energy that rippled across space, silent and unstoppable. Every Dranshell ship it touched began to scream. Their organic hulls twisted, melted, and turned into dust. The wormhole itself began to collapse under the pressure. Grant shielded his eyes. What is that? Arya answered softly. A shadow of what we once were. The weapon that ended the First War, the AI added, warning, dimensional instability increasing. Recommend retreat. Already planned, Arya said. Signal all ships. Jump to fallback point Sigma. The Terran fleet jumped out just as the wormhole imploded behind them. Crushing itself into nothing, silence returned to the stars. The cost hours later, in deep space, the survivors gathered. Half of the fleet was gone, sacrificed to stop the invasion. Grant stood beside Arya in the command bay. We won, right? He asked quietly. Arya didn't answer immediately. She looked at the scanner and saw faint, dark readings still pulsing where the wormhole used to be. No, she finally said. We delayed them. Grant frowned. But if we used the dark memory, what else could they have? Arya looked out into the endless void. The Dranshell were not the only thing beyond the rim. They were just the first to wake up. The last transmission at the same moment, the Galactic Council received one final message from the Revenant. The Dranshell fleet is destroyed, but something remains beyond the rim. Humanity will hold the line. Do not send aid. Do not interfere. If we fail, run. Commander Arya Voss, Terran Fleet. Admiral Kether replayed the message twice, unable to breathe. He whispered, They're fighting for all of us, and we can't even help them. Ambassador Reen closed his eyes. No, this is what they were born for. The pulse returns back in the wreckage near the rim, as the void grew still again. A single heartbeat echoed through the darkness. Thrum, thrum, thrum. And far away, in the shadow between galaxies, eyes opened once more. The humans remember, a voice whispered in the dark. Then let us remind them why we were feared. The stars had gone quiet again. Too quiet. After the collapse of the wormhole, the Terran fleet drifted in dark space, damaged, exhausted, and alone. Commander Arya Voss stood on the bridge of the Revenant, staring at the void where the Dranshell had died. But the silence felt wrong. Empty space was never truly empty. Status. She asked. Lieutenant Grant replied, All ships accounted for. Reactor levels stable. No signs of pursuit. Arya nodded slowly. Yet her eyes never left the viewport. There's something out there. I can feel it, the AI responded in its calm voice. Sensors detect no anomaly, Commander. She frowned. That's what worries me. Echoes of the past far away on Valora Prime, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Every race wanted answers. Where were the humans? What had really happened at the rim? Admiral Kether slammed his hands on the table. Enough talk. The wormhole destroyed half their fleet, and we just sit here? Ambassador Reen raised a trembling hand. The humans told us not to follow. You saw what their weapons did. If they unleash more? Ketho interrupted. If they fall, we're next. The galaxy must prepare. But even as they argued, a new transmission cut through the chamber, a faint, broken voice filled with static. This is the Revenant. We've found something. It's not over. Repeat, it's not. The signal ended abruptly. The council room went dead silent. In the shadow of the void, the Revenant floated near the ruins of the collapsed wormhole. There, amid drifting debris, hung a single object, smooth, metallic, and pulsing faintly with dark light. Grant leaned forward. What is that? The AI scanned it. Unknown composition. No match in any Terran or Dranshell database. Energy reading. Extreme. Arya's gut twisted. Bring it aboard, Commander. That's not wise, Grant protested. Arya turned toward him, her eyes cold. We have to know what we're fighting. Moments later, the object was secured inside the containment bay. As soon as the doors sealed, the lights dimmed, and the ship trembled. The voice returns as sound filled the chamber. Not mechanical. Alive. You. Remember us, little Deathworlders? The voice echoed through every mind on board. Arya froze. Identify yourself. You were gods when your kind crawled in the dirt. We made the Dranshell. They were our hands, our hunters. You destroyed them. Now we return, Grant whispered. It's not a signal. It's speaking through the artifact. Arya stared at the glowing sphere. What are you? We are the architects, the makers of fear, the ones your ancestors tried to erase. The AI's tone broke through the silence. Commander. Records confirm fragments of this entity in ancient Terran archives. They were believed extinct before humanity reached the stars. Arya whispered, then history lied. The awakening suddenly, the artifact cracked open, releasing a wave of black energy. Crew members screamed as systems flickered and died. Shut it down. Arya shouted, I can't! Grant yelled. It's overriding the ship. The Revenant's main screen filled with symbols, thousands of them, old and unreadable. The AI's voice glitched. Commander. I am being rewritten, then silence. Only the voice of the architects remained. You carry our fire, human. The Deathworlders were born from us. You are our children. And our mistake. Maria gritted her teeth. We are not your creation. Then prove it. The artifact exploded. The return when the light faded, the Revenant was gone. Or rather, it was changed. Its hull shimmered with new metallic veins. Its weapons glowed with unknown energy. And deep within its core, something was alive. Grant blinked awake, coughing. Commander. What happened? Arya looked around the bridge. Every system had come back online, stronger, faster. The AI spoke again, its voice deeper, almost human. Commander, I remember things. Old wars, old worlds. The architects tried to merge with me, but I took their knowledge instead. Arya narrowed her eyes. Can you control it? I can now. Grant stared in awe. Then we have their power? Arya shook her head. No, we have their attention. The galaxy trembles across the stars. Strange signals began to appear. Black monoliths rose from dead planets. Old machines came alive after eons of silence. The architects were awakening their network, preparing for a war older than history itself. The Galactic Council intercepted fragments of their broadcasts. The Deathworlders have remembered. The final cycle begins. Fear spread faster than light. Worlds began fortifying, but it was too late. Thousands of portals opened at the edges of known space, not wormholes, but rips in reality, and through them, the Forgotten arrived. The last dawn dawned, the bridge of the Revenant. Alarms screamed. Grant shouted, multiple breaches. They're coming through everywhere. Arya's face hardened. Then this is it. She looked at the glowing console, at the power they had stolen from the architects. Prepare all ships. Activate full dark protocol. Grant hesitated. Commander, if we use it, we might not survive. Arya smiled faintly. Then let's make sure they don't either. The final message as the fleet moved into position, Arya sent one last transmission to the Galactic Council. To all civilizations, the Forgotten have returned. Humanity will fight them at the edge of existence. If we fall, tell the stars we went screaming. She cut the channel and turned to the AI, light it up. The Revenant's engines blazed white. The fleet surged forward into the storm of rifts, into the black fire of the architects. Epilogue. The Echo. Beyond. Months later. A small scout ship approached the rim. They found nothing. No humans. No architects. Just silence. Then, As they turned to leave, a faint signal appeared on their comms. "This is Commander Arya Voss. If you hear this, humanity endures. The fire still burns." The signal faded into static, but somewhere beyond the edge of the galaxy, a heartbeat continued. Thrum, thrum, thrum. The Deathworlders were not gone. They were waiting.